This is Truth Be Told. Hey everyone, and welcome finally to season 2 of Truth Be Told. We just want to thank all you truth tellers who were trying to log in on YouTube. We are so sorry. We love your faithfulness. We're super excited. We feel like there's so much power and hope on this next topic that we're going to talk about. It might be difficult for some of you to be part of the conversation, but our hope is that you would leave here with encouragement and excitement, and also to hope for the future as moms. So we're going to talk about motherhood today. We're going to talk about fear, loss, disappointment, and what people didn't tell you. Now, we posted this on our Instagram, and we got some pretty fun, interesting comments that we will share throughout the show, you guys. But we want to make sure that you're interacting. You are the 6th co-host. So don't forget to comment, say what you feel, ask any questions, and we're going to try our best to make sure that we can answer those today at the table. So we're going to jump right on in, and we are going to talk about maybe from a mom's perspective, not maybe, but for sure from a mom's perspective and a non-mom's. Now, we have one mother at the table, and the rest of us are in process. We're still waiting for this one to get married over here. So we have a lot of different, perspectives that we're going to share at the table. So just wanted to talk to you guys about and pose the question, what is something that you fear or feared about being a mother? Like just fears. What are some fears?
Well, I definitely have FOMO. I am afraid. I seriously am. This is a conversation my husband and I have all the time. He's like, let's talk about kids and stuff. I'm like, but there's so much more I want to do. And I genuinely do feel like I'll be missing out on a lot of things. And like you just hear stories of people with their kids and their families, and they're like kind of shut-ins, and I'm like I want to go do this long list of stuff, and I feel like if having kids, it would be like that boundary or that wall that stops me from like fully living my life, and that I will be missing out. And that's like one of my fears. Aside from the physical stuff of giving birth, which obviously I'm terrified. Like missing out is like a big one, because I love my independence, and I love just focusing on my husband and I love being selfish, if I'm being completely honest. Because I don't have to worry about anyone's poopy bum, and I don't have to worry about being home on time for nap time. Like, it's my time, and it's about me.
Well, I remember like a really big fear that I had was, and I didn't realize it was a fear, honestly. I think like before I got married, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be a mom and I can't wait, and I'm going to have kids, X amount of kids, and do the thing and everything like that. But once I actually got married, I felt like, man, I'm in a very committed, safe relationship. I feel like I'm set up for success here. Like this would be the perfect time to be like, yeah, let's have the kids. But I was so afraid, you guys. I was so shook, and I was like, everything within me felt like it was on lockdown, and I didn't know why. And then all of a sudden I had these thoughts about, oh my goodness, like when I have kids, like I won't be able to pursue my career, or like, my goals are going to change, and like I'm not going to be able to pursue my passions and the things that I enjoy and I love. And then I realized that, man, that first of all, that was a lie, because that's not true. And I didn't understand where it came from at first. And then, man, love my mom. My mom's amazing. But when we were younger, she would say, hey, can't wait till you guys get older so I can finally do what I want to do. And I didn't realize as a child growing up, that was communicating to me that children hold you back. And so I really had to go through some inner healing for that to really find some freedom and get over that. Now I'm at a place where I'm like, I can't wait for children. I'm super excited. Like, I feel like it's whatever you make it. I feel like children are very flexible, and like they can absolutely like just kind of come into your environment and just kind of easily like mesh with your life, and it doesn't have to be necessarily one or the other. So.
You're all Jen.
I was like, Jen.
I think it's a little different for me, but I think that my fear is just like, why do I cry?
Got the tissues.
Like, is that? I'm sorry. Is that gonna happen for me? And yeah, it's just a real question when like the opportunity isn't or the option isn't an option right now.
Yeah.
Wow, sorry. I'm okay now.
It's
but
totally okay.
I think that
Yeah.
it's just like the fear in that is like, oh, am I going to have that opportunity? And for a long time in my earlier 20s, I was also like, I had really extreme like menstrual issues, like and like pain, and it was just really crazy, and it still is. And so for a long time though, I like hid behind this defense mechanism of just saying like, I don't even want kids, like because I was afraid like something was going on inside my body where I was like, what if I can't even like have them, you know? So I'd be like, I don't care, I don't want them. And then so it's like over the last couple years or so, I just feel like I need to get rid of that lie and that fear and like work on like getting my body like healthy and like figuring out what's wrong, and just like realigning it. And so so those have been my fears of like motherhood. I guess they all roll into is it possible for me?
It's another kind of FOMO.
Yeah, it is. I'm the opposite. I'm at this age where it's like, oh, I have FOMO with like friends like getting pregnant and like being in that stage of life, and it's like you're so happy for them, but it's, you know, sometimes there's that little sting where it's like, oh, I can't even like be in this season with some of my closest friends. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So those are the fears of a single older 20s.
We're opposite sides of the spectrum for FOMO.
Jen, we love you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
You're always so brave. Like, you literally are always so brave, and you're amazing.
Thank you.
And, like, your body is whole, healthy, and habitable.
Yeah.
And you will have children, and you're going to be the most amazing mom ever.
Stop.
And that encouragement is for anyone out there that's watching that maybe feels the same way that Jen is feeling. Like, your body is healthy, whole, and habitable. You will have children. Like, your dreams of having children will happen. And so we just want to release hope to you today, and joy in this whole process and journey. So,
Yeah.
anyone else want to share any fears? We do have some people that had some things that they had to say on Instagram. Now I will tell you. Okay, so these were the responses about. Now we have two perspectives here. We have some moms and some non-moms, but that was the warnings. We won't go there yet. That's coming. That's coming up.
Yeah.
But non-moms, do you want to share some of the things that some people shared?
Non-moms is afraid of accidentally getting pregnant since I do not want kids. No fear of momhood, just not interested. Okay. Someone just said sometimes. I'm just saying it came up. My vagina ripping to my butthole is a fear.
Renee, is that
do you want to
possible?
speak to that?
Do you want to speak to the possibility?
Well, I actually can't speak to that because I had 3 C-sections.
Okay.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I have heard stories though.
Yeah, I hear it's a possibility.
Well, we bless
Doesn't
everyone.
happen to everybody.
And we bless everyone's down there region.
I do have a great tip though for some people.
Ooh, yeah, tips.
Okay, it's not quite legal in America yet, but
It's sketchy. I love it already.
but you can get it in Canada and you can in Australia and in most of the European nations.
Okay.
So it is in developed countries. I know it's called an epi-no. And so it stands for episiotomy no. So it's to help you not tear or not need an episiotomy. So if you don't know what an episiotomy is, it's where you actually get cut in order for the head to fit out down there.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's a balloon. And you put it in and you slowly over the course of like 6 weeks pump it up and you stretch your perineal and you stretch the muscles so that you're not and so it's actually like when you're ready you've already been stretched to that size that the baby can fit out without tearing. And everyone that I've spoken to who's used it and done it correctly has never had tearing with it.
I want to know if it's
Dr.
ever
Renee, Dr. Renee, this is so fun. I love this
I
segment.
did it, but I didn't need it, so I
What if
can't
you're
say.
sitting in a movie and it pops?
Oh, no, ouch. It's pretty heavy duty silicone grade, like.
Thinking of all the scenarios.
I also have heard that putting coconut oil.
Yeah, you're supposed to moisturize.
Yeah, you're supposed to moisturize down
And
there.
massage, you can do special
Massage, and I'm sure husbands won't mind helping with the massage. So
That's pretty
just
good.
fun fact.
There's a lot more fears actually. Window of
Ooh.
opportunity, having closed, and still leaving a legacy.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's real.
Go ahead. Let's expand on that. Windows of opportunity.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a, yeah, I don't know. I can
Yeah.
speak to that.
So like women who are past the bearing age, you know, or feel that they're past the bearing age. However, I have seen crazy miracles where women are past the bearing age
Didn't
and they
Janet
have
Jackson
children.
just have a kid at 50?
At 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's so surprising, like even thinking, oh, maybe you're past the age, but I've seen so many miracles where people have like had children, like past the age of like bearing children, which has been so crazy cool.
And there's other options now available, which is cool. So there's options of surrogate. So if your body is maybe not in that stage, and if you have eggs, if you've prepared ahead of time and frozen some, and then you know your husband can still have a natural baby through surrogacy.
Yeah.
Well, there's adoption, you know, and I know that adoption is kind of some people are like all for it, and others are like really holding on to the dream of their DNA child, their DNA baby, and I totally get that as well. So I think the great thing is there is options, and I'm just such a big advocacy for adoption. There are so many kids in the foster care system who need like a mom and dad or just some really strong, stable people to come in and surround them, and so there's such a great need, and so for us to be able to step into that place to fulfill that need, I think like it's great to have children any way you can. There's something just beautiful on choosing a child and adopting a child. I think that it's really special. So I love that.
And just Holly North, sorry, really quickly. Holly North commented on here. Shout out to Holly North watching. And she said is she too old for this conversation? She said she's post having kids, which was so fun. And she just said that it's better to wait if you aren't ready for motherhood because it requires selflessness. And so, but she said it's so worth it. So I love that she's saying that because it does require, you know, sometimes I think we just think, okay, we're going to have a kid, but it does require us to have some type of, okay, relinquishing of, you know, just thinking about ourselves. And so I think that's really smart that she's saying, hey, just be prepared, you know, because it is a selfless thing, but it's totally worth it, which I think is beautiful.
I think the other side of that coin is you're never going to be truly prepared. So if you're also waiting to have all your ducks in a row before you have a baby, and you think that you've got it down and you're just waiting for that perfect moment, there's actually no perfect moment to have a child. So I say that because I have a lot of friends who are like, well, I want to do this, I want to get this done, I want to have this done. And I'm like, that's awesome. And you just have to weigh, is that more important to me than having a family? Because children are not convenient. Like whenever you have them, it's not convenient. It's worth it and it's incredible, but in order to have all your ducks in a row and have the perfect timing for a child is so highly unlikely going to be the case. That you also don't want to wait too long to have all your ducks in a row and then miss the opportunity.
Yeah,
so there is a flip
true.
side to that, and I 100% agree with that. But or for those, even for the whole like, oh, I want to wait, I want to have all this stuff done and this stuff done. I'm just like, cool. If you want to do that stuff, you know that I think it's valid, and I think waiting is great. I think if you're like maybe starting to get into your 40s or your late 30s. And you're still waiting, then you probably need to assess if you actually want to have children or not. And if you do, then do it.
Yeah.
You know.
That was one of our most, like, just browsing through the comments. Guys, we got so many great comments, so thank you so much. But that was, I mean, just over and over, like, I'm afraid, you know, of giving up something, or that it's time, or that my husband won't look at me right. But even to speak to that, too, like, I know that a lot of people even delay marriage and delay other things because they're like, oh, I want to have my ducks in a row and whatever. But there is a beauty of building. Like, there's a beauty of building family in every single season. And, like, I know that my mom was super young. Like, she's told me even recently, like, I was so young when I had you, and I felt like I made so many mistakes. And I'm like, Mom, I don't remember any of that. And, like, you know, we didn't have a lot of money and all this stuff. Like, that's not what I remember about my childhood. Like, I remember just having such a beautiful family. And like, of course you want it to be easier, you know, as easy as possible. But also your hormones definitely get you ready to stare at a baby for a very long time. Like, I was talking to a friend who's really ambitious, and she was talking about how, like, you know, it's been really weird for her in this season, like having just had a kid, and she's like, now I just stare at my baby all day, and I'm like, this is all I want to do. I don't care about going to work. And like, we're both Enneagram 3s, so we're like,
oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
Jen, you were going to say something before. I think I told Holly's comment.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, for people who are in the wait or who have this desire to be a mom, like, you can still have an impact on, like, you can still have a motherly impact on someone without being a mom. And it would never, like, fulfill that desire, you know, to, like, be a mom yourself. But, like, I'm an aunt, and I just feel like, you know, to combat the comparison and the jealousy that I get with friends who are getting pregnant, it's like, oh, I can actually, like, partner with this legacy that this family is building, and, you know, be a great aunt to your kid, and, like, you know, just, like, especially if you're in, like, a waiting season where you, like, hope for that to happen. It's, like, that's great amazing. Preparation, and it just completely fights that lie of comparison and the attacks of, like, you're never gonna have this, where it's like, oh, until I have this, I can partner with a mom who's doing something so well, and just be a part of this kid's life growing up too. So, and it's not the same, I'm not saying that, but, you know, you can still be a part of a legacy. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why I'm, like, so taking my time, because I did live with my sister, my brother-in-law for a season they had 2 boys at the time. Now they have 4 boys. But
full house right there.
I love the 2 oldest boys that I got to live with. It was just, like, something else, and I love and adore all 4 boys, but I definitely recognize how your life does shift, and there was a level of joy that was so different from, like, not having nephews and not really getting to be an auntie, and then realizing that there's no such thing as a quick run to the grocery store, and I can't just grab my stuff and get out. Because I would take care of them for a little while, and I was like, oh my goodness, my shirt's dirty now, so let's go change that. And it opened my eyes to the responsibility, but also for the love that like grows as an auntie. Even, like, it's different than, like, when someone's like, look at my kid, I'm like, great, you don't care about your kid. But, like, my nephews, I'm like, look at this, look at this, look at this.
And, like, you times that by 1,000.
Yeah,
that's what
you know when you're the parent. And it's like, I know it sounds so cliche, but in my mind, nothing is worth more than raising children, and the joy that they bring into your life is worth every sacrifice of responsibility, every sacrifice of anything that I can imagine. And so I have a lot of dreams. I'm, like, a very ambitious person. I'm like, I'm going to change the world, you know? And I, as much as I love and have such a value for all of those things, they just pale in comparison to my role and the joy that I get from being a mom. And I think that you've just got to maybe sometimes change your mindset as well. Like, I don't know, I was kind of brought up in a culture where babies don't limit you. If you're going to stop your life and put your life around your child, then yes, they limit you. But if you're just going to welcome a child into your existing life, then they don't have to limit you.
Absolutely.
And, like, yes, you do have to have nap times, but my husband and I traveled, like,
I love nap times.
Itinerantly.
Too. That's going to be my favorite part. Listen, that's going to be my favorite part.
It'll be great. It is great. But, I mean, you know, my kids, by the time they were 4, had been to 32, like, international trips, had been to 27 different states. So we traveled 150 days of a year with our children when they were toddlers, from 6 weeks old to 4 years old. And, like, it's hard. Is it hard? Yes. Have I had children projectile vomit on airplanes? Yes. Like, have I had all of that stuff that is, like, from horror stories? Yes. But it was insanely amazing, and I wouldn't change a thing. I would never change a thing. And so you don't have to stop your life to have children.
That's so beautiful.
You just have to invite your children into the life you're already living.
It's beautiful.
Which I think we get around. Hey.
I love it. Well, Travis said, and I think he said this as we started talking about, you know, down there, what happens. He was like, this got really real super fast. So, Travis, I think you're probably one of the only guys watching. Thank you for watching. Please share your perspective with us. We want to hear how you're feeling. Do you feel uncomfortable?
Traumatized.
We want to know. Traumatized, maybe. Mariah North says, so good. So, we're just getting a lot of great comments and things. So, you guys keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming. we want to make sure that if you have a perspective that you want to bring to the table, we want to share that with everyone that's watching. Chris, you're going to talk about a poll that we did, right?
Yeah, okay. So there's a poll we did. It says, if you got pregnant, would you follow the 12-week rule and not tell in case of loss? And 47% of you, so we got kind of almost half and half here, said yes, you'd follow the 12-week rule, and 53% said no, I'd tell everyone, so meaning everyone right away. And I can speak to this kind of personally right now. Well, really personally right now.
Yeah.
So, recently, which kind of sucks because we were going to do this on YouTube and now it's on Facebook, now it's on my Facebook. So sorry if you're in my life and this is like you just finding out about this, but
I love you.
I know.
You're so brave.
Yeah, no, but recently my husband and I lost a baby. Like we were pregnant and we wound up miscarrying. I hate that word, but that's the word you use. And I told people, like when I was pregnant, I told people in our immediate life. I know we had a photo shoot and I told you guys because I was like, you know what, I want to tell people that I know that if something bad happened would walk through it with me. Yeah. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to broadcast it right now. And it wasn't really waiting for 12 weeks because I don't know, to each his own. Like I know some people are more private than I am as people, and so this isn't me being like everyone needs to do this, but I do know that walking through that it really is a loss, and you really do grieve, and like just even if you keep it silent, it's not less of a loss, and so like my husband and I were just talking last night, and we were like, wow, we're so glad that like even when that happened, like we had someone in our life like come to the hospital like that night and be like, listen, I just want to encourage you right now to lean into community. Like, don't keep this to yourselves. Yeah, like, I really want to encourage you to do that. And we're so grateful that we did because like we had space to be messy and we had people around us. And like I had a friend the next day show up to my house with like a juice and coconut water, and like people sent flowers, and I told clients, and that made it like I got to actually like get some space with work, and I feel like it's not like it's never easy, but I do think that going through that process with loved ones around us and checking in on us and all of that made it a lot more I don't know, it just let us process it better versus like simmering underneath and then just being like the silent pain, and so I know that that's not how everyone processes things, but for us it was the best way. Now, we did wait a little bit, like, to tell family and stuff like that, about being pregnant, more so because of, like, holidays, and we were like, oh, we want to, like, share it in a fun way. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to do that with some family members, but I just want to encourage you that, like, if you feel pressure to not share in case of a loss, and you do want to share, go ahead and share. Yeah. And if you have gone through pregnancy loss, miscarriage. I hate these words, like pregnancy loss. It's like you lost a baby. Like I saw the baby's heartbeat, and so to me, I'm like, I lost a baby. Yeah. But sorry. No. No, I'm gonna cry. No, I was like, I'm not gonna cry today. I won't do it. So I just want to encourage you, like, not to keep it to yourself if you don't feel like that's for you. If you feel like I want to honor this life, and that's like your conviction, then like I would say please share it and don't keep it to yourself. Don't feel pressure like, oh, I was only, even if you were like, I don't know, I mean, you don't really know after 2 weeks, but even if you're only like a month along or something and you like someone told me, they asked me, how far along were you? And then they said right after, they were like, miscarriage is always devastating. And I'm so grateful they followed it up, because I was like, oh, thank you for not being like, oh yeah, it's so much, I mean, I'm sure it's definitely worse to like get full term and have a stillborn and all that. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't negate. The fact that it's a tragedy.
And guys, I want to tell you, like, first and foremost, like, the way Kristen's talking about it, you might think this is a while ago. Like, this was recent, guys, within the past 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks. And so I just I'm getting chills down my spine, because the courage and the bravery that you have to come on here, and like, as she was thinking about you, anyone who would watch this right now, who would begin to watch it, we had a conversation, and she said it will even help one person. And so I just want to tell you, I'm so proud of you for the courage you have to come share your story, and so soon. And man, it's just so encouraging. Like, you're just such a powerful woman to be able to just kind of share that story and help anyone that might be watching.
And guys, like, reach out to me. Like, I mean, there's so many things that even just I feel like I became an adult really fast. Like, I was already an adult, and I was like, whoa, I just grew up really fast.
Yes.
So if you just want to reach out or anything like that, and if you've gone through something similar or just want to talk or anything like that, like, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah. And Joy said, this is so helpful. I love this. So we have Aaron Torres, I think our only other second guy on here. Hey, Aaron. But yeah, and so if you have experienced any loss, or you resonate with Kristen's story, please comment if you're watching. Comment if you watch us later. Share your story. We want to hear about your story. We'd love to share your story on our platforms, just to encourage people, and just want to let you know, like, just because you had that situation, you went through that situation, doesn't mean that you can't have a child, and that you won't have a child. You will have children, and you will experience what it's like to mother someone on this side. And we literally just want to bless your bodies, and we just just speak health over your bodies. If anyone is struggling with any type of, bleeding or hormonal imbalances, like Jen was sharing, like, we just bless your bodies, and we just speak wholeness over your bodies right now. And we just declare that your body is whole and that you will experience motherhood. And so we just want to encourage you guys in that as well. We have a quick testimony on here. Someone wanted to share. Aaron Torres, actually, he said, my mom wasn't able to have kids because she had a lot of physical problems growing up. She ultimately could not give birth, and he said God blessed her with 2 twin boys. So he is just saying God does amazing work. So it's really beautiful that, she's twins. Like, that's like crazy. And you said...
I know. I'm like, now I want twins. Yeah. If anything, I'm like, I was really afraid, and we talked, like, when we met here at the table. Like, I mean, we didn't meet at the table, but we were like super tight before. Now we're tight. So, but I was like so afraid of having kids. If anything, that whole experience made me realize, like, wow, I really do want this. And like, honestly, to speak to even back into those fears about, like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to live for me right now. Like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was like, let's do it. Like, it was like, it's all consuming in like the best way, So
yeah. Erin, thank you so much for sharing that story. Yeah. That is so encouraging. And if you guys have any more stories to share about miracles, miracle births, or miracle children, like, we want to hear that, because we want to encourage men and women, because this is not just a women thing. Men, like, we want to encourage you as fathers, to encourage your wife, and to just literally just love on each other and just enjoy the season of trying and also to conceiving and all the joys of those things. So Jada said she's crying but celebrating the beauty that the show has brought to so many people. Wow, she says, so much strength in this group of women, and that she loves each of us. So thank you, Jada, for the support. We love you, girl. We can't wait to have you back at the table.
Yes.
And then we actually did a poll and asked some questions, and this was it got really interesting. And Renee, since you're the mom at the table, we want to start this question with you first, and then we're going to start sharing some of our followers' comments, and you can kind of tell us if that resonates with you or not. But what are some things that people did not warn you about?
Wow. Well, gosh, I have a really good group of friends and a really tight group of friends who actually had babies before me. So I feel like I got a really good grasp on some of the things to come. But as I said, I actually had a cesarean section with my first, and then because I had my second so close together, just 13 months, I wasn't able to have a natural birth afterwards. I had to have another cesarean. Then in California, after you've had two, you have to keep having them. So I don't know any of the downstairs kind of stuff that happens, like the tearing and stuff. Like, physically, I've never experienced that. But like, oh my gosh, no one told me that my nipples would bleed.
Yeah. And hemorrhoids,
like, everything in me just wants to curl into a ball.
That was it.
Remembering that pain. like your nipples crack and bleed, but yet you have to keep letting this little human suck on them, and it's like torture, and your toes curl under, and then mastitis, like when you get a blocked milk duct. Oh, I have a tip though.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
Tips.
I was in Germany the first time. I keep pointing to like my. Okay, this might get a little graphic. Don't worry, I won't flash you. But I was in Germany when I had my first case of mastitis. And so I told them, because we were staying at a host home, and I'm like, oh, I have to go get some medicine, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, no, go get yogurt. And I'm like yogurt? Like what you eat yogurt? And she's like, yeah, get yogurt. Like a Greek yogurt that has probiotics in it. And so the lady's telling me, and so I did. And so you put Greek yogurt all over your breast, and then you get as hot as you can get it washcloth, and you wrap it in over the top of the yogurt.
Wow.
And you sit there until the washcloth has gone cool, and the probiotics actually pull the infection out, and then you breastfeed as soon as you've taken it off, you breastfeed, and it releases the clogged duct.
That is
We're all
fascinating.
That's phenomenal.
That's such a great tip.
Because
I've heard
otherwise
so
you
many-
have to go on antibiotics, and that getting into your stream and then the baby's stream. It's just not. I mean, if you have to do that, you have to do that, and you should do that. But if you don't, and there's natural ways to get around it, then
Yeah.
I just want to interject that our audience had a lot to share about the no one tells you, things no one tells you, that were physical. So hemorrhoids, yeah, I know, and bloody nipples, feeling so vulnerable and raw. Every muscle would hurt head to toe after labor, and that they'd be a human jungle gym. But here's the thing, though. We also got, and they can break your heart, too. But we also got a comment from someone to encourage you that despite all that, someone said, having babies is addictive. I want more. Smiley face. This is somebody who has 5 kids already. So I'm just throwing... And is killing
It's
it,
true.
by the way. So,
That's awesome. I know someone had even commented about mom guilt.
yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we don't know mom guilt yet, but what is that? What is that
real.
like? Can you speak on what that experience is like, and maybe encourage some people out there that are maybe feeling that and experiencing that?
Well, firstly, I think that kids are way more resilient than we give them credit for. So you're not going to break them. I'll just put that out there, because sometimes we overcompensate by becoming helicopter parents. If you've heard of that.
Or just holding a
like
baby.
they just hover over you and stuff. And it's like, actually, here's even a good thing, is like a kid who has a major fall and hits their head in their first 2 years of life has a greater sense of adventure and risk as an adult than those who don't. Because
I'm just going to throw my kids.
Well, I mean, we just throw our kids down the stairs. No, just kidding.
Just kidding.
I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding, too.
Do not comment. We're not going to throw children down the stairs, we promise.
No, we are not. But it is real. I work, so I work 2 full days in the office, and then I work nights sometimes when my kids are gone down. I work on weekends. I have to do different events during the week. Like I've been gone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night this weekend, and I'm about to be gone Wednesday night as well. And it's my job, and so I don't really have like a way out of some of these engagements. And then you got to socialize and have a life as well on top of that, which makes it hard.
Yeah.
So you do, you know, like my kids even today when I was leaving the house, they're like, "Mommy, don't go." And I'm like, "Oh." And it does. It like breaks your heart a little bit, and you're like, and it's not because like you're upset at them, but like you realize how much they love you and how much they want you to be there, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, I want to be with you too." Yeah. You know, so it definitely like it's a bit of a wrestle, and some days I feel like I'm killing it and I'm like doing an awesome job at being a mom, and other days I feel like I'm doing a really crap job, if I'm honest, and I'll be like, "Joaquin, our kids watched TV for 3 hours today," because like, and he'll be like, "That's okay, like we win some, we lose some," like, and he's like so good, he's constantly telling me, "You're a great mom." Like, and even for me, like I had a mom who worked, so I grew up with my mom working, and it was actually so refreshing for me to see that my mom kept pursuing her dreams and what she wanted to do, even though, you know, she could have chosen to not do that at some point. Some points she couldn't. Some points she had to work multiple jobs for finance reasons. Because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. We had a great childhood, but we didn't, I mean, we weren't like millionaires. We didn't just jump on aeroplanes and go on vacation and stuff. But we did road trips, and it was awesome. Some of my best memories. But so I actually think that a mom who pursues their dreams is showing their kids like just such a healthy way of doing life. And so honestly, as long as I think you're not so focused on a career and selfish ambition that you're neglecting them, then I actually think it's really important for kids to see their parents chasing after their dreams.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And I'm a better mom for it.
You're going to say something?
Yeah, I was. I like, you know how you guys were asking that question about like, well, what did they not tell you about motherhood? I feel like with social media, I've been like, I read so many posts and stories where I'm like, well, that's cool. Now I don't want to have kids because you've just written this long rant about like all these little things that have gone wrong for you. And it's really discouraging. Like, I get it's being real, but it's also very like, it's in a very public platform. It's not with someone that I'm close with. And I'm like, okay, well, you just talked about how you feel like this negative way towards your kids, or you're like, this is like the real stuff. And I'm like, that's great for being real, but it's also very, I don't know how to say it. It's like, from someone who doesn't have kids, it is discouraging. Because then I'm like, well, ew. Oh, thanks for telling me everything that's wrong with your body right now. And now I'm like, well, kids are, ugh.
Well, you know what? You know what should encourage you is the fact that a lot of people don't stop at one. So there's got to be something.
There's some reason.
Yeah.
There is a reason.
Very, very true. Because if it was as awful as people said it is, then we wouldn't have people with so many children.
No,
so
it's
people
not
complain about
awful
marriage.
at all.
Yeah.
People just don't know how to use social media, and they're being stupid.
And also, too, I feel
And
like
you don't need the world to know that. Like, shh, put it back in.
I think sometimes
Talk to your
maybe
friends.
like social media is like maybe she was gonna connect with like another mom, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't her trying
Not
to
someone who's,
encourage
like,
a
trying to
single
convince-
woman, you know, because it can be a really encouraging place where I don't think
For
we have
sure.
to I don't think we have to connect with every single person
No.
on social media.
Yeah.
So if that's her outlet to find connection, like maybe it's just
But I know what you're talking about.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about, you know, like where it's it'd be the same if someone were to post all the terrible things about marriage. I'm like, you know, it's just like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. This isn't encouraging. Maybe you unfollow them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
And I also
social
think-
media is weird. Like we get to be responsible.
We love
for
it and we
what
hate it.
What we read and what
Well,
we
we've taken
Yeah.
away real connection, and I feel
Yeah.
like those kind of conversations need to happen in real life to real faces where you can actually do something about it and encourage one another. And I think sometimes we find it hard to find community in which we have those conversations, and so our venting and our only outlet is social media. And
Yeah.
I have a very different view, I think, on social media than a lot of people. I'm like, I think a whole lot more people need to zip it.
Yeah.
But I think also too, there's a balance, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I actually love when people are telling me like it is, because I'd rather, whether I know them or not, I just rather hear a bunch of different perspectives. And then
Yeah.
this way I can kind of just, you know, deal with it in my own process. But then I do like that if there's an encouragement in there.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to just hear, here's all the negative, here's all the negative, and then
Right.
not have a positive. But I would love it if it was like, hey, here's what you may or may not experience. And like, because everyone's experience is not going to be the same. Like you shared, you're like, well, I didn't have the tearing because I had a C-section, you know, or everyone has their own different experience. I think it's the way for me, the way I would receive it would be better if it was like, okay, here's the real deal. But hey, this is what's cool about it. And
I totally agree. If you're not leaving them with hope, I think that's where it is. Like, I don't mind
totally
people being
agree.
real,
Yeah.
but I'm like, if
Absolutely.
it's just to kind of dump on everyone who'll listen without
different.
giving any hope or without giving any constructive or positive
Yeah.
reinforcement, then
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, I don't think you need to do that on social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. And we
Like-
had, sorry, you were going to say
Oh,
that.
well, I would, like, this isn't me saying I don't love authenticity and I don't love people being real. Like, honestly, it's great knowing some of the things about motherhood, but then I'm like,
Do you want to know about
I
the
don't want to
tearing?
be terrified of every single thing and every potential possibility. Not really, but then again, I have the power over my screen and what I put on it. But I'm
In
just,
your mind.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, like what you consume, what you read.
Yeah.
Like, I know some moms who are literally like, I am not going to read any books. Because look, before social media, before there were actually books that we had access to like crazy, women just had children.
Yeah.
And they just gave birth and they didn't know. really what was going to happen. They didn't have all of that. And I know there are some women, it feels like it's a movement. They're just like, look, I'm not going to read any of that stuff. I'm just going to enjoy the process. I'm going to, feel
Take
things
it as
out,
it
No,
take
for
it
real.
as it is.
Next time I get pregnant, I am not doing any apps. I've already said this to myself. Like, I might have like a book to be like, what's normal? But I feel like you just become obsessed too anyway.
It's
and I'm
true.
sure it's, I asked my friend, I
Yeah.
remember being like, how do I deal with this fear all the time? Like, is this normal? Is that normal? What's happening here? What's happening there? And then my friend, she told me, she was like, that doesn't go away once your baby's born. Like,
That's
welcome
rough.
to parenthood. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you are going to be afraid all the time, but you have to control your mind and what you consume.
I think a great tool is a doula. So I would say that to anyone who's considering having a baby is get a doula, because doulas are doulas because they love babies and they love childbirth. And so they're going to tell you, they're going to give you all of the knowledge, but they're going to give you a lot of hope, and they're going to give you great stories, and they're going to just tell you how amazing it is.
Yeah.
So I had a doula and that
awesome.
I could ask questions to, and she'd had 5 kids, and I was like, what happens here? And she would tell me, like, she didn't shy away from giving me the nitty gritty if I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she was just like, you know what? You can't be married to your birth plan. And I really was. I so wanted a natural labor that I actually got really discouraged. I was in labor for 4 days.
Wow.
And by the end, I was kind of delusional. And I'm like, this baby's never getting out of me. And they're like, you have to go in and have a C-section now. And and I was like, oh, and I kind of felt like my body had failed me in that moment, if I'm really real. And I said to Joaquin, I'm like, I don't want to, I don't want to do this. And he's like, hey, back to the basics. The most important things are that you're healthy and the baby's healthy.
That's
and
so good.
our doula was able to walk us through so much stuff that some people get from books, other people get it from apps, but it makes such a difference when there's a heart behind it, and that there's a person who loves babies and loves childbirth and is so for you and championing you in this process.
How early
so
do you
good.
do that?
I think that we got ours around, we were about halfway.
Okay.
So about 20 weeks. And it was because I wanted a water birth and I needed to have gone through birthing classes in order to do that at the hospital that I was going to. So I had to go through it. And I chose a doula to do my birthing classes with.
Yeah. And no one talks about, too, like the waiting as well. Like, because it's like there are people who are probably watching, and this is kind of what I'm walking through right now. My journey is the waiting. It's the process of trying and waiting when you look. And it's funny because Chris and I were talking about that, and we were at dinner, and she actually encouraged me to delete my apps because my husband. I know. It's so true because, and it's not like I was being like a psychopath about it, but I definitely was very intentional. It's like, for my ladies out there that are tracking with the apps, you have your ovulation, you're tracking your cycle, you're doing all the things.
Like, honey, it's time.
It's time. And my husband's like, oh, I'm always ready, And it's like,
We can
so it's like, you know what I mean? Like, they're always ready, but it's like just being intentional about it. And like, I felt like I was going kind of too hard on it, and it just felt like a little bit too much for me. And we've been trying now for 5 months, and we haven't had a positive yet, but we're hopeful that will happen, and we really are just trusting that we will be parents at the right time, and like just trusting the process and just encouraging each other. And the thing that I did very soon, and it was probably by accident, but I just blurted it out. We were hanging out with a group of friends of ours, and I was just like, well, we're trying to have a baby, and like everyone got really excited about it. And the cool thing about that whole kind of blurting it out, it invited people in. So now people will come up to me and they'll be like, I'm thinking about you, how are you doing, and like just checking in on me, which I didn't realize I actually needed. And I think had I not invited people even in the process or even in the waiting, like I think I would have felt so lonely in it, and it's so crazy because all my friends are getting pregnant. I mean, I'm going to baby showers. My brother's having his second baby. I'm getting a nephew. It's just everyone's having these babies. And, sometimes it's really difficult when you've been trying for a long time and you're like, oh, like when is my time? And I definitely had to, wrestle with those feelings of disappointment, but like really quickly just being like, you want to know what, like my time is going to come. And when it does, people are going to celebrate me. So I want to be the biggest celebrator for everyone else, And so it's like, if you're waiting, like, don't wait to celebrate other people, like celebrate them, be there for them, like just bless them with gifts and like just love and all the things, because your time is going to come and, you know, people are going to love and celebrate you as well. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I agree. I totally agree because when your time comes, you want that too.
Yes.
You want people to
Exactly.
freak out and celebrate, and like I've seen people get pregnant and people be in the wait and not respond. You know, how, you know, if you were to announce something like that and people not respond in a celebratory way, you know, it's hurtful and people notice it, and it's one of the biggest moments of your life, getting pregnant, like any milestone, you know. So
Yeah.
it's always a choice. Am I going to celebrate, or am I going to make this about me? And
Yeah.
sometimes you got to get really ugly and get really real.
Come
Like,
on.
I'm making this about me, and it's not about me.
It's not. That's
It's
exactly
really
it.
not. And you
So
know, that's
true.
where you go to a third party friend who has no, you know, relation to the situation.
Yep.
You're like, I'm being really ugly right now in
Yep.
my heart, and like I'm making this about me. I just got to get it out there. Or you wrestle and you journal it out, whatever you got to do. But you bring your best, like your celebration
Yeah.
to the situation, for sure.
So good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Someone had commented, are you scared of judgment from people on the way that you mother? So this could be like, for you obviously, Renee, because you're a mom, but like, would you guys who don't have kids yet would be afraid of judgment from other people the way that you parent,
No.
the way that you mother?
I feel like I've seen so much negativity that I'm like, okay, this is stupid. The only people I really care about
is
are the
stupid.
people I have personal relationship with, and anyone else, whether it's someone at the store, I'm like building myself up to like get that thick skin I need. Or like the nipples for an illustration. Toughen up. And like in my life now, I don't want to be worried about the stranger making judgments about me, because they don't have a voice in my life. They don't know my kids or like my future kids. They don't know me. So why would I give them a place to cast judgment in my life?
Yeah.
So I like to hope that I won't care at all. And I'll be that mom that just shows up as it is, and I'm like, whatever.
I feel like you are going to be that. Like, I just feel like you're already even that way just in general. Like, you know what? Whatever. Like, I just feel like you're so that way. And when you're a mom, I feel like that's going to be so encouraging for other women, too, to see, like, that you're not going to be moved by that kind of stuff. Like, I just see you being that inspiration for women, like, in motion, like, actively. Like,
But people will give you their advice.
Yeah.
So I hear.
yeah.
Unsolicited.
Put it in the comment box, in the garbage. That's where you can put it.
In the rubbish bin.
And the rubbish.
Trash. I love that.
That was for Renee.
We're going to flush that.
I actually don't, because I've invited people into my life to give us advice on parenting, because we've seen the fruit of their kids being raised and now living like awesome lives, and really a unified family unit with grown-up kids. And so my husband and I have a lot of mother and father figures, apart from our mum and dads, who on both sides are just phenomenal. And so we ask for advice, and we are open to them speaking into our lives, but we're giving them permission to do so. And so for all of the people who want to give advice or judging, I'm like, and I think when you become a mom, hopefully you become a whole lot less judgmental, because you realize, like, I think before I was a mom, I was like, oh my gosh, I would never feed my kids Lunchables.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't really like it, but I mean, at the same time, if someone does, I'm like, oh, I've got no judgment on you, because I know how hard it is to just raise children. So if you're going to feed them Lunchables, feed them Lunchables, whatever works for you, you know, like, you've just got to do you and live by your standards. And I think just not worry about what other people think, because the reality is people are always going to judge you.
That's true.
It's just whether you let that have influence on you or not. And again, I think you actually have more grace as a mom, because you're like, oh no, you watch like a toddler having a meltdown in the supermarket, and before maybe you have kids, you're like, get that child under control. After you have your kids, you're like, I got you. I got you. You just get it. So you have this unspoken bond with other moms.
Do you
you're
moms
just like, oh,
do
we're
it
in the
like
trenches together.
You guys do like a head nod, like, I see you, girl. Like,
I'm like, like, here's a tub of ice cream. You know, you really do it. It actually is a very bonding thing if you can find moms who have kids the same age as you, and you're doing it together.
Yeah. It looks like there's a lot of fears of like partner, like relationship changes and stuff like that around being a parent. So we're getting a lot of comments like, I'm afraid my husband won't see me the same way after kids in a negative way, or like, you know, we just got a comment here been married almost 3 years, and the time comes I'm nervous how much my husband and I's relationship will and free time will change. And so it's almost like, I mean, some of it's judgment, like partner and partner judgment, but some of it is genuinely just like that dynamic, right? But I mean, even just speaking to that in my very limited time of being pregnant for a little bit, like, I would say that what was cool is, like, again, with growing a family and growing a relationship, like, embarking on any new adventure, I know, is really cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, even with trying, I'm sure that's, like, brings you closer together. Yeah. And it's just, like, you're always trying new.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. For the married people. And the interesting thing is, whether you have children or not, your body changes. I mean, my body has changed so much throughout marriage. Yeah. My weight has fluctuated. Some of you probably have seen it on Truth Be Told. Sometimes I'm a little thick. Sometimes, I'm, and it's in between. And the thing I think at the end of the day is, men love women that are confident. Yes. And I think and when you exactly
in all sorts of things.
Yeah, in all sorts of ways. And the
pounds heavier usually.
Yeah, and like the thing is, it's like, it's okay. Like when you are confident and you love yourself and you're confident in your skin, I guarantee your husband 99.9% of the time is clueless and he does not even notice it. Oh, it's true. And he will just love you as is. So I would just encourage you, before you even think about getting married, even before you think about having children, is really loving yourself and loving your body no matter what. Because I've heard so many beautiful women, and I love the way they say it, when they get a little stretch marks or a little extra, on them, they just say, these are like my battle scars. Like, these are my baby scars. Like, I'm proud and I'm wearing these because this shows that I actually brought life into this world. Yeah. And you know what? That is such a huge, cool, beautiful thing that we as women get to experience. We actually get to bring life into the world, and what a gift and what, I don't know, an honor it is, at the end of the day, all
it's amazing.
Things aside, it really is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing someone told me is they're what makes or breaks the process of having children is the partner you choose to have them with. A couple of my friends, they have babies, but they're not still with the person that they had the baby with, and they're like, I would look at having kids completely different if I had a good, healthy foundation in my relationship. And one thing someone told me is they're like, it's okay to not want to rush the process because you don't feel like you have to add to your relationship. And I know some people decide to have kids when they feel like they need to fix their relationship.
Yes, don't do it.
I don't know what you're thinking, because I'm like, that's so much more on your plate. And so, but that was the one thing is they're like, you have a healthy relationship, it changes everything, especially when you do have your baby, your relationship is strong in that no matter what change your body goes through, they're with you for the long haul, and they're not with you because you're in your 20s or whatever, and everything's perfect.
Because dads get dad bodies too.
Yeah, come on.
Let's just
dad
be real.
Bodies.
I mean, most of the time, guys their bodies aren't going to stay the same when you get married anyway. But I will say your sex life changes. It just real. Does. It's real. If you think you're going to have as much sex maybe as you did before you had babies, and then when you're having newborns and you're got toddlers all over you, you have a different outlook on sex sometimes. And yes, it's so still real. Enjoyable, but sometimes it's work. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm having sex right now because I'm being a good wife. Yeah. Not because I want to, but because I want to be a good wife. Yeah. And that's just real, because at the end of the day, you are tired. Yeah. You are kind of and here's the thing. I used to always think whenever I went to bed, just exhausted, I was kind of oh, I'm so tired. But actually, I really feel over the last few months, I've just been getting this new outlook on going to bed exhausted. And I actually am so thankful, because I'm oh, I'm going to bed exhausted because I gave all of who I am today.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I poured myself out to my family. I was the best mom I could be, the best wife, the best employee, whatever it is, And so I actually have this contentment now in going to bed exhausted.
And sometimes which when you're kind of lucid, that's the best.
Yeah. Just being honest. The kind of in and out.
It does take time to heal as well. So you're not going to be having sex for a good 6 weeks, I'd say, after you have a baby. Just FYI, men. And from what I hear, It's kind of scary a little bit for a woman to have sex for the first time after they've had a baby.
That makes sense.
So I will say to the
That makes
husbands who are
sense.
watching,
Be patient.
like, be patient
Yes.
with that, and like
Yes.
it's legit. Like they had a watermelon come out of there.
Yes.
You know, for JJ.
Pretty
so
much.
just give them grace. Give them grace.
She's praying over there.
But your sex life does return. It's not that way forever, but there is a season where it will.
So
It'll
men,
change.
be patient. Women, be patient. And we're just going to wrap up, you guys. Leilani, who's been watching, she said just as relationships change before marriage to newlyweds, the way you spend time together will change. It's not a bad thing. It's just different, and that'll just be fine. And she also was giving a shout out to her daughter and saying, well, you have lots of childcare options. So have that baby. I think that's what she's telling you.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining in today on this episode. I know we've been really real, and we're going to continue on the realness the rest of season 2. So be sure to tune in. Join our Truth Tellers Facebook community. I love seeing how many dudes we have on here today. So dudes, we love you. Please join as well. That is Truth Tellers, Truth Be Told Facebook community. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube by hitting that red...
She's getting excited.
We are live, guys. By hitting that subscribe button to be notified about upcoming episodes.
And we love you guys. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.